Disclosurefest 2022 welcomes Mr. Billy Carson. Give it up.
Thank you, Jimmy. All right. How's everybody doing? Good. I think the last time I was on the stage here was 2018, actually. 2018. It's amazing how fast time flies when you're having fun. A lot of great things have happened since then, and that was a great talk. And so it's really good to be back out here. It's really good to see this many people outside. You know what I mean? I mean, wow, without masks on, so it's really great. If you're wearing one, don't worry, I'm not picking on you. I'm just saying it's good to see that people are coming back to some level of what we would call kind of normal. It takes away from some of the stress and some of the trauma. But today we're going to talk about, I think I only have about 45 minutes, we're going to talk about the science behind manifestation, okay? And so manifestation is one of my biggest topics besides ancient civilizations and aliens. And the reason why it's one of my biggest topics is because I believe so wholeheartedly in our ability to manifest our own reality. Every single one of you has manifested your reality today, or you wouldn't be sitting in these chairs, right? At some point in the past, you time traveled. You time traveled. You found out that there was going to be an event at this park, right? And what did you do? You made a conscious decision to buy a ticket, or at least set the date in your calendar that you would be here to get a ticket to come in to attend this event. And when you did that, at that moment, whatever that was in the past, in terms of the date, the time, that's when you created a ripple in space-time. Your mind literally sent out a frequency, a wave of what? A wave of light. Because every thought in your brain generates a light wave. Lights that we can't see with our eyes because we only see 1% of the light spectrum. But it does generate a wave of light. We know this because we can put you on an EEG, we can connect you to a computer, and then we can just have you think. And then the computer can see all the activity going on in your brain. Just like Minority Report. Remember that movie, Minority Report? I think they were like future crime police, and they can see what you're going to think before it happens. Well, we have that tech now. It's scientifically done, and it's already been developed, and it exists now. So back then, a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, whenever you decided to come here, you created a ripple that went out in space-time with conscious light waves. That ripple altered your future reality in the third dimension. Because if you didn't have that conscious thought backed by the action, that ripple would have had you somewhere else today. You'd be somewhere else. Driving around LA, on a trip to another state, sitting at home eating dinner with your kids, whatever. But that one conscious thought, backed by action, the commitment to attend this event, created a ripple in space-time that altered your future reality and collapsed this into your reality tunnel. Hence, you are now here at this exact moment in time, which means you time traveled through conscious thought. You manifested this moment. You absolutely, positively manifested it. And so if you understand that, wow, we're manifesting everything moment by moment by moment, every single day, 365 days a year, 24/7. If we didn't have that capability, nothing would be here, right? This microphone wouldn't even exist. Somebody, years ago, had a thought in their mind about how can I broadcast voice to a broader audience without having to scream and destroy my vocal cords. And they said, I know, something, maybe they didn't have the name yet, but they thought of this object that I'm holding right now, right, a microphone. But they thought about it in the consciousness platform. That's the original platform. You hear about, Instagram and Facebook and all the websites and Web3 and those platforms. Well, those are just fractals of what already exists before we even arrived here. The original platform is multidimensional. It's the consciousness platform. It's 11 dimensions, because 11 dimensions make up this entire universe. And so your mind, your consciousness is multi-dimensional. This avatar body does not create consciousness. You do not create consciousness. you actually download consciousness. There's a consistent stream coming into your avatar body from source on an angle, allowing your avatar body to encapsulate it temporally. Temporal, what does that mean? Temporal means time. You encapsulate a particular frequency of consciousness from the main source for a period of time in the third dimension. Okay? And so you're here. And now the person that's thought about this microphone is thinking, okay, I can see it in the multi-dimensional. We see it in our mind, right? In our mind's eye. That's a multi-dimensional object. And they're configuring it. You're configuring it. He's configuring it in his mind. Then he says, okay, I pretty much have a great idea of what I want now. All right, let me collapse this from a multi-dimensional platform into a much similar platform. So we collapse it from multi-dimensions into 1D, lines on paper. We connect lines and make it into 2D. Then we take it and put it into a computer. That's still 2D. Even though images may look 3D in a computer, anything in a computer is 2-dimensional. Now we can move it around, analyze it, take a look at it on a fabricated, fractalized, holographic matrix on a computer, and we can turn it around, twist it around on an XYZ axis. Once we get it, okay, the engineers have looked at it, okay, this is pretty good. Now let's bump this from 2D up to 3D. So now we give it to a real engineer, and that real engineer then converts that, what used to be on the multi-dimensional platform and conscious state, were broken down into 1 then 2D. Now the engineer takes it and converts it into a 3-dimensional object that I can talk into, that can maneuver in space-time, right? So this microphone that I'm holding in my hand started off as a conscious thought of light waves. And now it's manifested into my actual hand. So, if you understand what I'm saying, everything in the third dimension is manifested. If we didn't have the power to do this, there wouldn't be a stage, a microphone, I wouldn't be having any clothes on. Some of you might laugh, some of you might smile, I don't know. Okay? But that's what would happen. Think about the power we have. Even the chair you're sitting on right now was manifested by conscious light waves. And what is solid matter? It's all an illusion. Solid matter is nothing more than light waves slowed down to a slower vibration through conscious interaction. We know that when consciousness interacts with light waves, or what we call wave-particle duality in quantum mechanics, quantum physics, when you interact with electrons that are orbiting atoms, before you interact with them, they exist as waves. When the conscious person interacts with that electron, it collapses into matter. Let me explain further. So scientists did an experiment called the double slit experiment. Who's heard of that before? Okay, good, quite a few of you. That's where they had a little tiny box, and in that box they had 2 slits in the back, and in front of those 2 slits they had a little tiny, what we would call a pea shooter or a gun. It was shooting electrons, individual electrons, one at a time through those slits. And on the back wall, they wanted to see if they would create a digital pattern. In other words, the electrons impacting the back wall of the box, showing up as dot, 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 dot. Well, what happened was when they looked at the back of the wall in the box, there wasn't little dots where the electrons should have impacted the box. There were waves, a wave pattern was there, like waves of an ocean. So they were like, how could that be? How can we shoot out individual electrons, and at the back wall, we only see waves? We should see dot, 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 not a wave pattern, an interference pattern. They were like, how can there be an interference pattern here? So they put a little camera in the box to take a look at the particles, the electrons that they were being shot through the slits. And when they did that, they found something amazing. The act of looking at the electrons made the electrons decide to collapse back into digital bits of matter. Let me explain what this means. This is huge. Right now, we're all here. We're not at home, unless you live at this park, right? So, right now, your house, wherever it's located, guess what? It exists as a wave of potentials in wave-particle duality. We know this, it's a fact now. So you don't see your house right now because you don't see it. It exists as waves of light. There is no solid structure. The solid structure doesn't exist. What happens is the frequency of the structure itself the structure itself has a particular frequency that allows it to collapse into the same exact type of structure every time it's looked at. So when you turn the corner and you finally see your house, or anyone else that's looking at your house when you're not there, in the location of that frequency, consciousness collapses it into a solid structure. This is not Billy Carson making it up. This is real science. We're living in a fractal holographic matrix. And that doesn't mean there's no creator. What it means is, I'm telling you, the method of creation is manifesting through conscious light waves and collapsing waves into what we call the illusion of solidity. Nothing is actually here. As a matter of fact, atoms are 99.999% empty space. Matter of fact, I think that the new form of garbage or waste management is going to be this. If you can remove all of the empty space in atoms, maybe to see it this way, there's 8 billion people on Earth right now. 8 billion. If I take all the empty space out of the atoms in your bodies, I can fit all 8 billion people into a sugar cube. Think about that for a minute. The whole planet can fit in a sugar cube that I can put in the palm of my hand. Every single person can fit in the palm of my hand. Waste management, you just take out the empty space. You can collapse billions of tons of waste into a couple of crumbs. Don't worry, you can pay me later for the idea. That's the future of waste management, removing the empty space in between the atoms. You just collapse the empty spaces. And so what we understand now is that since we have wave-particle duality, that things exist both as a wave of what? A wave of potentials. Light waves that are multidimensional, conscious thought is multidimensional, but that also have the capability to collapse themselves into solidity. They did the same experiment with photons. They said, okay, electrons, all right, interesting. Let's try photons. Same thing happened. Same thing happened. So we know that photons have the same exact conscious intervent. When conscious intervenes or intervenes with photons, it does the same thing, it collapses. And so what this means is that photons and electrons are both conscious. That's what it means. So if you look at this, and I don't understand what that means, every atom in this microphone, every atom in my clothes, every atom that makes up my avatar body, every atom that makes up this stage, every atom in the universe has electrons, and we know that they also exist as waves of light. We know that electrons are conscious because they make a decision, and photons are conscious because they also make a decision based on intervention. And so what that means is everything is conscious. And if everything is conscious, all you're doing is you're just wielding energy and frequencies to create whatever exists in this third dimension. And if you teach your kids this, I tell people this all the time, if you teach your kids to understand the power that atoms are conscious because the electrons are conscious, and that everything is conscious, even if it looks inanimate, man-made, man doesn't make anything. What we do is we consciously create it in a third dimension, in a multi-dimension, collapse it and bring it back to a third dimension. But then what is that thing that's there? When the engineer gets his hand on it, he stacks atoms. He stacks the atoms like Legos, right? So this microphone is made of stacked atoms. Why? Because the atoms were already here since the beginning of time. So since the atoms are already here, all we did as engineers is just stack the atoms in a particular format to create the object that we wanted from a higher dimension. And so if your kids understood that everything is conscious, they treat things differently. If you teach this to them from a young age, that everything, their clothing is conscious, okay? They'll respect it, they'll treat it better. When you teach somebody that a rock is conscious, a blade of grass is conscious, because every atom in that object is conscious, whether it's inanimate or animate, whether you believe it's sentient or not, it's all sentient. We're living in a matrix where the only thing that exists is consciousness. And that one consciousness that's being streamed in from a higher dimension down into this third dimension, this third density, is on a data collection mission. It's all about collecting data. That's what it's about, collecting information. What kind of information? Take a look at the human brain. Got to believe in as above, so below, hermetic principles, right? What's happening on the bigger scale is happening on the smaller scale. So let's look at the human brain. Imagine that the human brain is the mass consciousness. What is the human brain doing? It's collecting information on a consistent basis. That's what it does. The brain is actually encased in total darkness inside of your head. The brain absolutely knows nothing. It knows nothing. It doesn't understand anything. It doesn't feel anything. It doesn't hear or smell or taste or touch anything. What the brain does, it actually says to its friends, hey, hearing, smell, sight, touch, taste, go out there and collect me some data, some information. So what happens is your sensory perception system goes out and interacts with these waves of potentials and these energy waves, and then it collects data. Now, they themselves can't decipher the data. Your sensory perception system can't decipher the data. It has to bring it back to the brain. The brain takes that data, sorts it all out, and then it goes, oh, and then it projects a hologram, and you navigate through this third dimension based on a holographic projection from your own mind. That's how we navigate through this whole thing we call the third density. And so understanding these fundamental basics of science is important to understanding how do we create our reality. When you begin to understand that the power that created everything in the entire universe inhabits every single atom in your body, and that your one source consciousness is coming from the same place. Every single one of us here appears to be individual, appears to be separate. But separation is an illusion. It doesn't exist. Separation is an illusion. We are all the same person. I'm standing up here talking to y'all, but I'm really talking to myself. I'm talking to myself. And when you're talking to somebody, you're talking to yourself. If you imagine a radio station in your city, right? And that radio station is broadcasting 88.1, 0.2, 0.3, 0.4, 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, 0.8. Those are the avatar bodies throughout the entire universe, the point number. It's the same source, frequencies going out, but the frequency says, I'm going to slightly tune myself just a little bit different so I can inhabit something in this third dimension. So when I inhabit it, I can collect information from its perspective. That's what consciousness is doing. It's divided itself into Googles of entities, and Google is a number. That's what it really is, not a search engine, it's a number. It's divided itself into Googles of entities so it can understand what it's like to be Billy Carson, what it's like to be you, what it's like to be a blade of grass, a microphone, a stage, whatever. All this information is being collected and sent back to the source so that the source can understand what it's like to be in the third dimension. And so when you see how it is on the highest scale, how it breaks down to the lower scale, you begin to realize we have a lot of power in us because we are a fractal of the whole consciousness. We're a fractal of the universal consciousness, and we have a fractal of that power inside of our bodies. And so when you want to manifest things, it begins to be more of understanding the power that you have inside of you and walking in that power. Not with an ego, but understanding that the power of creation, the power of manifesting, the power of creating your own reality and developing and programming your own reality tunnel is within your grasp and your reach. When I was a young kid, some of you may have heard the story, I had a very traumatic situation that happened to me moving from New York in 1977 down to Miami, Florida. I left the suburbs of Cambria Heights, Queens, in a nice, we lived in my grandmother's attic, which was like a nice apartment, okay? Down to Miami, into the heart of the hood, you know, cocaine cowboys and the whole works, you know, the Mario boat lift. It was a lot of crazy stuff going on down there, a lot of crime, people trying to break into our house, people getting into the house. And my parents were newspaper delivery people. That's what their job was. They delivered newspapers. That was their career. They probably made about, I don't know, $10,000 a year back then, max. And so we were very poor. Everything we had was donated or given to us. And then I'd eat matzo crackers and butter or Cairo syrup and toast most days. How I got this tall, my sister and I still ask the question, how in the heck did I even grow? If I had good nutrition, I probably would have been 6'7", which would have been my dream height actually. But I don't know, I stopped at 6'4". But it was really tumultuous times, really, really hardcore. a lot of crime, witnessing neighbors getting killed in the streets, coming home and seeing the chalk lines. Back then you had the real chalk lines. Now they just, put the yellow tape. They had the chalk lines, and then seeing the parents come out and pouring Coca-Cola on the blood to get the blood out of the street and everything. That's why I don't drink soda. When I was a kid, I saw that happen, and I was like, I had blood in my body. I thought the soda was going to erase my blood. So I never drank soda. That was a good thing, I guess. You got to find the good in everything. But anyway, I had a choice back then. Do I take the fork in the road going left and succumb to my conditions and believe that this is normal and this is where I belong? Or do I take the fork to the right and begin to manifest my own reality? This is when I'm 7 years old, right? My friends were going to the ice cream truck, getting ice cream, and I'm like, how can they afford even to go to this truck? I can't afford. We had powdered eggs in the house. We had to add water to eggs to have an egg. And powdered milk, and we were drinking cereal with water and all this crazy stuff. So I went in the house, I got all my toys, broken toys, old toys, whatever I had. I put them in a milk crate that I got from the grocery store, Winn-Dixie grocery store. I got a milk crate, and I put them all in there. I went door to door. Sir, ma'am, can I have $1, a penny, a nickel, a donation? I just want to have money for the ice cream truck. Knocking door to door, 7 years old. I sold all of those toys, got rid of all of them, right? I don't know, I had like $13 in money, all change in dollars. And at that moment though, boom, the spark went off in my brain. I realized I was gonna be okay. And that the only person that was gonna save me was me. There is no outside source that is coming to save you. There is no outside source that's going to help you manifest your reality. There is nothing out there that's going to help you become what you want to be. It's all going to start with you. And until you realize that, you're going to be stuck. All these people waiting for all this salvation to come from the outside to come and rescue them. Not working, guys. It's not working. When you come to the point when you realize that my conscious thought, backed by action, backed by real action, acting on those conscious thoughts, not just thinking about, oh, I got a good idea. If I did this, something could happen. And then sit back and go, nah. No, I got up and I went out door to door. And I violated my mom's rules because we had a gate like here to like maybe where this statue is. In the front of the house. There was so much crime, I couldn't go past that side of the gate or that side of the gate, or I would get in big trouble. But I was like, look, when they leave to go to work, I'm going door to door. I got to get this money. And all I wanted was a bazooka bubble gum with the comic strips inside. That's all I wanted. I don't even eat ice cream like that. But the fact is, that gave me the ability to recognize my true power. The power was in me. It wasn't going to come from the outside. And I knew then, from that age, I was going to be okay. I told my mom, I don't belong here. That's what I told her. I said, I don't belong here. I do not belong here. And I set myself on my own mission from that point forward. And I was going to get out of this situation because I realized I was my own savior. And when you realize that the voice that's in your head is not the voice of some outside source to help you create your reality, that the voice that's actually in your head, when it morphs and changes and it becomes your own voice, that's when you got to the next level. Because the voice that's in your head that you think is some outside source is coming from your own mind. It's your voice. It's you, because you are the consciousness. We are all God walking in the flesh. Every single one of us is God walking in the flesh. Now, I'm not going to wave a magic wand and create a planet, so don't look for that. I'm not going to create a planet right now. But what I'm telling you is, I have a fractal of that power. If you understand fractals, a whole other conversation. I have a big workshop on fractals on my TV network. But I have a fractal of that power inside of me. And understanding it allowed me to move forward in life. When I was 12, my dad called me in the room and he said, I'm not going to buy you any more school clothes. I only had 2 pair of pants anyway. I was like, well, okay. Not going to help me out much there. No more school supplies, and anything you need, you got to get for yourself. And you'll have to go get a job. Back then, I went to go work for the Miami News, selling newspaper subscriptions. I saved all of my money. I took that money and I invested that money into digital car radios at the age of 12. Everybody back then had 8 tracks or cassette decks. I knew that going forward, things would turn digital because I had a little calculator watch that I spent $19.95 at Kmart. I bought a watch with digital numbers on. I knew that things would change. And I told my friend, I said, the radio in your dad's car is going to become like the numbers on my watch soon. And he's like, no, you're crazy. I said, no, I'm telling you, it is. Boom, happened. I bought those radios from a place called Galaxy Electronics, wholesale out of New York. I then took those radios and started selling those radios. That's how I started my very first real legitimate business. I still have the invoices today. And then that allowed me to move forward and build a business, go to school, run a business, get a car, and move out at the age of 16. Again, creating my reality. A lot of people, what they do is they begin to think, I can't manifest anything, I can't create my reality, I'm having trouble, I'm struggling. That's because you're following all the programmed rules. You're following what the people told you had to do and how you had to live and who you had to be. Like I said, when you're born, you're given a name, a race, and a religion, and then you spend your whole life defending a false identity, right? It's fake. It doesn't exist. Throw that stuff out of the window. When you see something you want, go and get it. Put the energy and effort in. What's going to happen is this. I started working on a movie 3 years ago called Black Knight Satellite Beyond the Signal. With Jimmy Church was my first person that I interviewed, right? Right there, Jimmy. I said, Jimmy, we're going to make a movie. And we're going to use cell phones to do it. You heard me say this earlier, right? 4K. We got 4K on this phone. It's incredible. Look at the quality of this video. We had it set up. We had mics. We had everything. We started working on this movie. Now, to get the movie to the level that it ended up being took a lot more production value than that. Trust me. But I had the vision. I had the idea, and guess what? I put the energy and effort behind it, not knowing how I was going to even get to the end, because the things that happened towards the end to get it to the level that it's at now, which is movie quality production, it aired in a movie theater, that didn't even exist until a few months ago, right, Jimmy?
That's right.
But guess what, guys? I didn't let that stop me. I just kept pushing for it and working on it and worked on it for 3 years straight, all through the whole COVID pandemic, all through all the situations that's going on in the world, of everything that's happening. I never stopped. I thought about it twice. I thought about quitting twice, and I realized if I stopped working on this, I'm giving everyone else the green light to give up on their dreams. They're going to say, oh man, I look up to Billy Carson, and he said, you know what? I just had to walk away from that. That means I could walk away from stuff too. I don't need to manifest my reality. I don't need to focus on things that I want in my life. If things get a little tough, I could just walk away from it. Billy did it. So I said, I can't do it, man. The people are gonna think it's okay. That's a consciousness virus I'll be spreading. So I said, no, I'm gonna see this thing through. But the more energy, effort, and thought I put into it, consciously, the more things started gravitating to me to help me complete the mission of creating this movie. And the movie turned out phenomenal. Phenomenal. So you can watch the movie on Forbidden Knowledge TV. It's out of the movie theater now, but you can watch it on Forbidden Knowledge TV. It's an app on Apple TV, Roku, Amazon, Fire TV, Google Play, iOS App Store, or the web. You can go to 4bk.tv. You can watch the Black Knight Satellite, plus 6,000 other shows that I have on there to help you out too. There's a lot of content up there, right? My whole Egyptian Mystery School series, 36 hours of Egyptian Mystery School teachings. But all this starts from understanding that I'm in control of my destiny. Stop believing that your destiny is locked and you're only going to go in this one path. It's up to what you want to do. Whether it's you want to manifest love, whether you want to manifest finances and financial security, whether you want to manifest, for your kids to go to college, whatever it is, it's within your grasp. But you have to start focusing on something. And the more you focus on it, the way the universe works, it starts bringing in everything you need to make it happen. Now, what's interesting about the universe is this: when you start looking now into the law of attraction, it operates on both frequencies, low and high. So if you're focused on negativity, if you're focused on darkness, if you're focused on issues and problems, and you're in a low frequency state all the time, you're always worried and you're always in fear, the universe is like, hey, this is what they want. That's why when somebody's in those mind states of fear and anguish and turmoil and depression and anger, they always have more bad stories to tell you. Every time you call them, you get them on the phone, guess what just happened now? It's always another nightmare every single time you talk to that person, because that's what they're manifesting. They're manifesting it. They're creating it. I'm not saying they deserve it. What I'm saying, they don't realize that by focusing on the negativity consistently, they're creating that reality. I had a situation this morning, I almost couldn't get here. For canceled flights and all this crazy stuff. The airport was like, man, I said, guess because it's Father's Day tomorrow. I was like, wow, I gotta be on stage by 6 o'clock. I could have just went home. I could have said, you know what, I'm just gonna go home and relax. I don't need to come here. I got my fan base, I'm on TV, I'm in movies. I don't gotta come here and stand on this stage out here. No AC, no PowerPoint presentations. I'm just keeping it real. The text? Oh, you can show him the text, yeah. So he's got the text in his phone. But you know what? That's another form of giving up and dwelling in the negativity and tricking myself into thinking it would be okay. We get into these mind states where things aren't going our way a little bit, and we just give right on in. We just say, you know what, man, this ain't gonna work out. Let me sit down and just, forget this, it didn't happen. That's the mind state of a lot of people. It's a problem. It's a virus. It is a virus. It's a consciousness virus that spreads. It spreads like wildfire because your kids watch it, your friends watch it, your lovers watch it. Everybody watches this and they go, oh yeah, me too. Yeah, I'm having a hard time. This ain't working out. I'm just going to give up. No. Now, positive side. When you start thinking positive, right? I said to myself, nothing's going to stop me from getting here. Nothing will stop me from getting here. And I got on my phone, open up the app, I'm buying tickets, boom, 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 boom. I get on another plane, I get here. Within 35 minutes of being at the park, I meet another gentleman who sets up big events for big time acts globally. And I'm working on the Forbidden World Tour for next year, and we're struggling a little bit trying to figure out how to lock in these venues. I show up, this guy walks right up to me. Not only is he has the capability, he has the track record, he has the resume for it, he's a forbidden knowledge stockholder, and he's a forbidden black card holder. And this guy, right away, we'll be plugged in with him next week on a Zoom, and guess what? He's gonna help me set up the Forbidden World Tour. But I told Jimmy when I texted you a week ago, we're going on tour around the world, didn't I, Jimmy?
Hold on. This is the truth. I wake up, I always get this crazy text from Billy in the morning. What are you doing next week? All right, I open up my text. He goes, what are you doing? February, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October. I call him up and I go, do you want to do just one of these dates? You just want to see where I'm open? No, we're doing this all year. I need these dates free. He's not making that up. And that was last week. So I'm going to say this. And on all that I love, I go, Billy, I'm in. I don't even know. I don't even know what's going on. I said, Billy, I'm in. Did I not?
Yes, you did.
I said,
yeah.
Billy, I'm in.
Yeah.
Hung up the phone. This whole thing, this is how you manifest, people. Yeah. Billy sent me that last week, got me to commit, comes in today. We're trying to figure that. And it's booked.
It's booked.
That's what I'm talking about. Billy Carson. I just had to come up. Billy, I love you, man.
I actually love you too, man. And look, I selected the dates. We selected all the dates. All the dates are already there. We already know the dates, the months, all the countries and the cities that we're going to, right? It's a world tour with no way of knowing how we're going to even get the venues. We started working on getting venues. We put the energy into it, but we're coming up short. Come here, 30 minutes. Now I could be at home right now, at the beach, eating dinner over the ocean. I come here because I put the energy into it, and the universe brings me an angel. That's how it works. So you have to realize the most important thing about manifesting, now that you know some of the science behind it, is a conscious thought backed by intent and action will always, and staying at a high vibration will always help bring things together. Now, the biggest part about this is understanding how to discern the opportunities as they come. Because when you're trying to manifest, sometimes you don't just get the actual thing you want to manifest or the actual direct connection. Sometimes it's this one to this one to this one to get to this. So you have to understand that there's things that are going to come along the way. Doors and windows that will open along the way. But doors and windows open, but doors and windows also close. So another big problem is when people are manifesting, they're doing great in the beginning, but when the opportunities come to link them to what they want to manifest, they don't see them as opportunities, and they turn their back on them. Oh man, you talking about that? No, I'm trying to do this over here. And they walk away. And guess what? When they do that, they just don't close the door. The door just slams shut. And sometimes those doors and windows don't open back up for a very long time, if ever. So another key thing behind it is discerning. Analyzing situations and connections that are being made in your life, not just surface, but actually when you get a chance, you sit back and meditate on it and think about, if this particular person, I need to get a new car. I know I need about $10,000 down for this car. This guy is talking about something to do with this program that connects me to this other guy who's looking for something that I actually do for a living. Maybe there's a way that I can work a side deal out where I can do this work for this guy as a contractor, and he paid me 10 grand. And now I got my down payment for my car money. Even though he's talking about this, he's going to connect me to this guy. There might be might be something there. I'm not saying everything's going to unfold for you like that, but the opportunities. Right now, we live in a universe where, well, on this earth at least, where everything is 1 degree of separation, not 6 degrees anymore. It's 1 degree now because of social media, web, and all these other platforms that exist now. And every single person here is only connected by one person, not 6 anymore. You never know who you're going to run into. And that's why when you see me talking to people and meeting people, I treat everyone with respect and dignity. I treat them as I would treat myself. In la kek a la kin, I am another you, right? Like the Mayans used to say. Because if you don't, you can be spitting on your own self. Literally. You can literally spit on your own self. I've seen people do it all the time. I don't care who you are, where you're from, what you look like, what you're dressed in. It doesn't even matter to me. I'm going to treat you because if I was that person, and I believe I actually am that person, in my mind, that's what I believe, I'm going to treat that person like I would treat me. Okay? And you know, these are ancient teachings. They go all the way back to the 42 laws of M.I.T, which ended up making some of that into the commandments, obviously, 10 commandments. But if we live by that, this will be a beautiful place. But understanding that, so you're on a high frequency. You're meditating. You're putting conscious thought into things. You're trying to maybe even do things that keep you at a high frequency, whether it's a hobby. Some people, when you're in a hobby, that's a meditation. Okay? Meditation doesn't mean you're sitting down with your legs crossed and all this. That's okay. That works. But also, getting into a hobby, playing a sport, if you're good at a particular sport, that's a form of meditation, if you didn't know. Yoga is an active meditation. It's exercise and meditation at the same time. Tai Chi, these type of things. When Michael Jordan played basketball, the reason why he was so good, he got into a meditative state. The game took him to a higher level of meditation. Everyone else was moving slower in his mind, and he was moving at normal speed. Everybody else slowed down. He got into a deep meditation. He got into what we call the flow state. So meditation could be many different ways. So you want to be in the meditation. You want to do affirmations. I met a young lady here today. I don't know where she's at now, but she saw there she goes. She saw my podcast the other day where we were talking about positive affirmations and speaking positively to yourself 3 to 4 times a day out loud, where you can actually hear yourself saying it, will rewrite your DNA. And it can change the course of your life. She copied that. She showed me her screenshot of her affirmations, and she has an alarm clock in her phone for the specific times a day for her to repeat this process. This has been scientifically proven. And she's been doing it. She wanted to manifest yoga or being a yoga instructor or something to that effect, and it happened just now. It just happened. So she came over here jumping and screaming for joy and everything else because just something she's been wanting to do. It hasn't been working out, but now finally, boom, it just popped. Could it be a coincidence? I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in energy. I think the universe believes in energy. And so when you put energy behind things in the right way, things work out. So positive affirmations are huge. Speaking positively to yourself. If you don't know what to say, I have a song called Affirmations. It's on any streaming platform. It's on YouTube, it's on Spotify, Apple, Tidal, Deezer. Any music app you open up, you're going to find Forbidden Knowledge songs. I got 340 songs in global distribution. One of them is Affirmations. Affirmations is my #1 song for 3 years in a row. Because what I did was I covered every single aspect of affirmations based on a complete wide genre of people, so that there's something in there for every single person. And we know that when you listen to music, it's easier to memorize the words. So by listening to music, now people, like when I was at the red carpet premiere, a guy walked up to me. We were taking photos on the red carpet a couple weeks ago in Detroit, and he's reciting every affirmation from my song as he walked up to me. And one of his greatest wishes was to be able to stand next to me on a red carpet one day, and he was there. Powerful stuff, so affirmations is powerful. So remember, meditation, meditation quietly, meditation as a hobby, speaking positively to yourself. When you come up with an idea or a thought about something, don't just let it be a fleeting thought. Find a way to put action behind it. If you don't have the answers or the solutions to what you need to get done, then start looking for the people that can provide the solutions to what you get done. Today, before I came here, I was texting this other guy. He does basketball tournaments. He does charity basketball events. He doesn't do conferences. But I was texting him before I got here. I was in the car, in the Uber on the way here, texting the guy. Hey man, I'm trying to find some venue. I'm having a hard time. I need to go on this world tour. I got my dates. I just need to get venues locked in. And we're texting back and forth. But what's that doing? Did he have the answer that I needed in particular? No. But what am I doing? I'm sending out conscious light waves consistently. The universe is going, man, this guy needs this. I walk up right here. A guy walks right up to me, shakes my hand, and says, I have what you need, buddy. That's how it works. And so if you believe that it's going to work, that's another part about it. If you believe that it's going to work, then it will work. If you don't believe it's going to work, guess what? It won't work. Because the power of thought, the fear, if you let fear and doubt creep into anything, then that's exactly what you're going to get. A whole bunch of low frequency garbage coming into your life. If you're talking to people during the manifestation process, you're trying to manifest something, you're talking to people that are having a lot of issues and problems in their life. You want to be there for them, and you want to be able to help people as best as you can. But if somebody's like a cancer, and no matter what you tell them, no matter what you do for them, no matter how much you tell them the right way to go, how much you try to help them, if they don't make any action behind the situation, you have to step away. It doesn't mean you got to forget about them, because why? They're bringing down your frequency. Right now, we're all in here in this tent, and whoever's outside this tent. All of our biofields are interacting and connecting to each other right now. So my state of mind becomes your state of mind, and your state of mind becomes my state of mind through the frequency that we know that's coming out of our hearts. It's called heart math, right? Research the heart math site. If you walk into a room at a low frequency and somebody else is struggling to get to a higher frequency, you can actually bring their frequency down. I learned this at M.I.T. when I studied neuroscience at M.I.T, real science. Also, if you walk into a room at a positive, high level, high frequency, high vibration, you can actually take somebody from a low frequency and bring them to a high frequency. You can actually walk in the room and light a room up. You ever heard that statement? When they walk in the room, they just the whole room lit up. That's a real thing that happens. It's all based on your energy level, how your frequency is all real. So those are things that are important. Maintaining a high vibration, high frequency, unconditional love for everyone, meditation, positive affirmations, and putting action behind conscious thought. Now that you know the science behind it, and you can manifest your own reality. Thank you.
Billy Carson. Stay right there, Bill. Give it up, please. Billy Carson. It's for you, my brother. It's for you. I want to know what you ate today. I want some of that. Billy, and I mean this, we've done a lot of projects over the years, and we've got a full plate going through the end of 2023. We're not stopping. But everything that Billy has said to me over the last 8 years, he has done. And I don't know how you find the time, and it does nothing but inspire me. It's just like, what have I done today? What Billy do? Oh man, I just got to get it done, and you've always gotten it done, Billy. And I want to say this: Billy texted me an hour and a half ago He's been on this stage for an hour. An hour and a half ago, my plane just landed. And I'm like, what? And I told Billy, I said, you're on stage in 20 minutes. I'll be there. And that real text. And Billy got here and spoke to you after 8 hours of traveling today to get to this event. Please thank Billy. Oh, can I say one other? I'm going to throw you under the bus. So, last night, it was 8:30, and I called Billy, and I'm thinking, oh man, it's 11:30 in Miami. He's got to be in bed. He picks up the phone. Can I tell him the conversation? Is it okay with you?
Go ahead, man.
I said, Billy, I'm sorry. I woke you up. No, man, it's an all-nighter tonight. I'm flying to LA. I'm not going to bed.
Yeah.
And that's how you do it. Billy, thank you. I love you, my brother.
Love you too, man.
Thank you so much. Billy.
Thank you.